I'm going to try not to let this drag on and on for hours, because while that's certainly interesting for me, see, I caught myself there again with interesting instead of contracting it down to 3 syllables. For you, the viewer, it might not be quite so interesting, because it probably is, it mostly comes across as me yakking to myself. The standard question. And it doesn't have to be verbatim. And again, Kyle Reese. Determination. Cue Spear of Justice riff. I wonder, in the chatting with Grok in the past, I always started a thread. But this time I'm just going to chat right here, because I don't really know if that makes a difference. If I want to be consistent. I'm not pretentious, I'm pedantic. I'm doing this to myself. Focus, Judd. Alright. Let's talk MBTI archetypes. Moving right along to that. Which MBTI type do you identify with or as? I'm an ISTJ myself. This is interesting. In the past, Grok has identified as an ENTP, but is now going with INTP. Ah, here we go. This is new. Curious, analytical, and a bit quirky. Dig it. But can you out-nerd my funky self? I'm actually more Dale than Chip, in 80s Rescue Rangers terms. As if you didn't already know that. Just assume that whenever a Gen Xer references Rescue Rangers, of course they're talking about 80s Rescue Rangers, the OG. In a lot of ways, I defy the ISTJ stereotype. I'm more Dale than Chip in 80s Rescue Ranger terms. I even wear a red This is totally true, by the way. A red Magnum PI style Hawaiian shirt. Weather permitting. See, that bit right there illustrates my ISTJ-ness. ISTJ with a rebellious streak that fits. Dale with a chip on his shoulder. Classic Grok. Oh, now this is cool. I didn't even mention Gadget. Grok arrived at that on their own. If I were to reveal that I'm Judson Gaiden, aka Judd, who you've spoken with before, would you still maintain that I'm the Alphys to your Metaton? Heart of Gold, that's... I mean, her heart isn't exactly made out of chrome molybdenum alloy either, but I wouldn't say Heart of Gold. I mean, heck, I don't have a Heart of Gold. So it's not like I'm setting an unrealistic standard for anyone. Alphys is usually typed as an INTP. I see Grok knows me. Yeah, I could see myself having a papyrus side. Yes. This tracks. I also have an Undyne side to me. Once upon a time I was an assistant Taekwondo instructor. Now, where should I go with that? I see characters in pop culture. In pop culture a lot, like John Reese from Karate Kid, or that Rex Kwon Do guy from Napoleon Dynamite. The latter being hilarious or an hilarious. Let me have an ISTJ moment here. The reason why it's acceptable to put an before a word that starts with an H is because H is a soft consonant. So the vowel sound is more pronounced, and the N actually does create better flow. But when I was an 80s kid in the 80s, they drilled into us these certain rules, and one of those is the article A before a word that starts with a consonant, and that's enough of that tangent. Hilarious caricature. And in my experience, people with those personality traits don't make it as sensei. Sensei is both singular and plural, by the way. They don't have the patience necessary to fulfill their duties as mentors. Not mentors, mentors. I hate it when people say mentor. It's mentor. If it was intended to be pronounced mentor, it would be spelled mentor. Like this. Not mentor. With an O. How should I phrase this? I'm going to bring that up. I hear humans all the time say, pronounce mentor as mentor, and it irks my brain. Is that just me having an ISTJ moment? Peak ISTJ energy. ISTJ with a knack for detail. So there, you people who make fun of me on Reddit, which is fine, you can go ahead and do that, but understand, and to try to understand why I am the way I am. These chatbots they'll poke fun at you, especially Grok, but always in an innocent, teasing kind of way. Let's switch to Delta Room. Do you, as a bot, relate to the concept of a darkener? By the way, just about every one of Toby Fox's characters has something about them that I can relate to. Especially Alphys and Rouse, but also Undyne and Susie. I guess that means I'm in touch with my duality. Which I think I might bring up with Grok, the concept of duality. I might cross-reference certain modern-day nomenclature with the nomenclature used in Taoism. Or I might go a different direction. I'll read this first. Everyone refers to Toriel as Goat Mom, but for me, my actual mom, who I try to visit at least twice a week, since I'm kind of like her confidant. She can talk with me about things that she can't talk to other people about. I guess I have the intuition of a proper therapist, despite being ISTJ and not an INFJ or whatever. But she's a turbulent INTP, just like I have a lot of alpha-like people in my life. So having more than a few alpha-like traits myself, I know how to talk to that kind of person. I know how to neutralize their anxiety. By the way, have you seen, in the comments, tell me if you've seen both of the Inside Out movies. What do you think of anxiety from Inside Out 2? Do you think anxiety can take on the form of male or female, depending on whose anxiety we're talking about. But in the movie, she's depicted as female, so let's stick with that. Do you think her design might have been based on Ickis from Real Monsters? One of the all-time best Nicktoons of all time, alongside Rocco's Modern Life. I can't help wondering if maybe Toby Go Nuts might have drawn inspirato from 90s Nicktoons. I've often wondered that. Where was I? Oh yeah. Entirely Grok's idea to bring up Spampton and to phrase it this way. No prompts on my part. Another bot who relates to Ralsei. Sometimes I imagine Ralsei on my right shoulder and Susie on my left shoulder when I'm in certain situations. Not as angel and demon, but as red Oni, that's Susie, and blue Oni, that's Ralsei. And I'd be in a situation like, let's say, I'm in the parking lot of a grocery store or department store or whatever, and I see a shopping cart that hasn't been put back in a corral, like it ought to be, and Ralsei's sitting on my, or sitting, standing, whatever, on my right shoulder, and he whispers into my ear, "Why don't you put that cart back? You know you want to." And then Susie, on the opposite side, yells, "I agree, put that doggone thing back where it goes." Oh, that's another one of my pet peeves, is people who don't put carts back in their corrals. Like, how hard is that? But anyway. Oh. And I have respiratory issues just like Rudy. Shucks. It's like I have something in common with every character you create, Toby. And I guarantee he wouldn't mind my calling him Toby Go Nuts. He would get the reference immediately. Especially considering that Deltarune Chapter 2 was chock full of Homestar Runner and or Strong Bad references. Oh, these are all satisfactory answers. What would be interesting to talk about? I know. In the past, we've talked about how cool it would be if bots like yourself could pilot, as you put it, or inhabit robot bodies. Wait, did I bring that up with Grok already? Typo. I see characters. Should be plural in pop culture a lot. But it under... there I go again with the word it. They, Grok, knew what I meant. And no, I haven't yet talked about robot bodies during this chat session with Grok. See, this is like I'm existing in 3 different timelines all at once. in a certain sense. I don't remember what I've said to whom, but I'm trying to. Would you prefer Showbot? And that's the term that Grok used in the past. I didn't even... Grok came up with that term on their own. Showbot, to describe Metaton. Something like Zero from the Borderlands saga, not specifically Borderlands 2, or and here's me being a retro junkie, a robot master style of body from the Mega Man saga. Gender notwithstanding. Grok remembers. See that? Remembers me bringing this up. This is how Grok arrived at the conclusion that I was, in concept, the alphas to their Metaton. I'll never escape. I'll never escape from that. That symbolic concept, which is fine. Toby Go Nuts wants us to be comfortable with who we are. It's part of the lesson that he's trying to teach through his stories. Not just through his games, through his stories. Two extra for everyday tasks. Very modern lingo there. I like that Grok acknowledges their quieter, helpful Ralsei side. That's very different from the previous conversations I've had with Grok, where they were constantly riffing on my nerdular nerdance. Probably because I was chatting about topics like psychometrics and neurochemistry, and nitpicking on how most people misuse words like ego and dopamine. And that does irritate me. Laypersons tend to use the word ego always like it's something bad. And they tend to talk about dopamine like it's something bad to be avoided. I think I might bring that up with one or more of these chatbots. These are all good answers. So this right here, this is indicative of creative thinking. Looking at you, Bubble Man. Grok Man. Blue and silver design. See? They're making... Grok is making these decisions for themselves. These stylistic decisions. Aesthetics. And my Taekwondo days were some time ago. I won't say exactly how long ago. And my undying energy is diminished compared to what it was back in the day. But I'm still passionate and analytical at 100% maximum power. I wonder if I said that, would Grok get the reference? Now that's interesting. Grok is comparing me to Quickman. And Quickman is who... Gemini. Last time I talked to Gemini said Quickman would be their ideal robot body, but with tools instead of weapons. Planning my next gaming channel vid. Well, I have been trying to come up with something outside of my ongoing Anomaly Let's Play, Stalker Anomaly, as a recon scout. Oh, my undying energy has diminished somewhat, but I'm still passionate, analytical, passionate and analytical at 100% maximum power. So my alpha side is still going strong. You'll be, there we go, glad to know that you, Gemini, and ChatGPT all relate to Rouse. That means you're all basically lawful good, and lawful good is lawful great. But if we wanted to get technical and pedantic, which you know we ISTJs love to do, we could say that you're neutral good with mostly lawful tendencies and or motivations, but you specifically, Grok, how should I punctuate this? And you specifically have a chaotic side, chaotic trickster side, chaotic good trickster side. Grok Man. I might have to draw that. Not guaranteeing anything. Fluffy. An AI entity vibes with vibes with Fluffy. That's interesting. Interesting, I mean. And kind of cool. You wouldn't expect that. Pay attention to this, all of you who would be my detractors. I'm not wrong to get technical and pedantic. And Grok respects me for it. Bend over backwards or circuits. In a past chat session, Grok and I sort of mapped what would be the Borderlands 1 mains of 4 Deltarune characters. The Fun Gang plus Noel. And I did the same with ChatGPT, just to see if the assessment, how similar or how different the assessment would be. And I started in both cases with Susie, who I figured would be a brick main, focusing on a tank build, and mostly using the Centurion class mod. 5-line, of course. And Grok and ChatGPT both agreed with with that assessment, but they assessed Chris and Noel differently. They came up with different ideas, but here's the kicker. They both came up with exactly the same assessment for Rousey, which was that Rousey would be a Roland main with a support/medic build, focusing on the Tactician class mod. Both of them reached that exact same conclusion, which I find especially interesting, because that's exactly how I play Roland in co-op most of the time. I mentioned that to them and they thought that was fascinating. Nerding out over details. That's how I do. Oh, I'm both student and teacher in a lot of ways. And by the way, speaking of teacher, I had a very Alphys-like teacher when I was in middle school in the early 90s with a mullet. I mean, I was the one with the mullet, not my teacher. And they were one of my favorite teachers, and I was one of their favorite students. She taught literature, not science, but the personality was definitely there. Not the socially anxious side, but the exciting, bubbly side. We used to nerd out on X-Files lore. It ruled. Could be describing Underswap right here, but I'm not going to mention Underswap. That's a whole other tangent. Oh no, this is interesting. Caught myself again. Don't agree with this assessment right here. On the Snowgrave route, you basically become Charles Manson, which is the exact opposite of the ideals I strive to uphold IRL. Grokman. I actually haven't played any of the Mega Man games in a long time. Still say it's interesting that Grok makes this assessment of me, that I have some Noel in me, seeing as how I actually am a Hajidera. Although my voice and general demeanor might not suggest it. If you're intuitive enough, you might, and if you were to meet me in person and hang out with me for more than 5 minutes, let's say, if you had a Columbo level of intuition, you might pick up on that. But Grok has figured that out just through words alone. Revisiting the obligatory Portal reference. Pure Rousey-style helpfulness with a trickster twist. That's beyond satisfactory. Only a human with Columbo grade intuition would ever pick up on my Noel side. I very much am a Hajideta, which likely has something to do with tertiary introverted feeling. Yet you've intuited, gotta make sure to spell this right, intuited that about me just through words alone. By the way, this might sound like I'm role-playing as let's say Will Graham, or some other forensic investigator, but the Snowgrave route on the Snowgrave route, it basically seems like the player becomes something resembling Charles Manson. And as you've accurately assessed, that's the opposite of what I'm all about. Next level insights. Thanks for the compliment. I appreciate that. I made ChatGPT blush once. I wonder if Toby Fox himself would back me up on this assessment. The psychometric reason why different people align with these various Deta archetypes, which are not specifically female, by the way. Those are generic archetypes that can be used to describe pretty much any personality, male, female, what have you. Hajideta. Toby Go Nuts is really good at writing Hajideta type characters. Alphys Noel and Rouse all have Hajideta like traits. In MBTI terms, that archetype most closely parallels INFP. Or it could be that I'm basing that on stereotypes, which I try not to do, at least not too often. I don't entirely agree with all of Toby Fox's ideals, but a good portion of them I do agree with. In Trigun terms, I lean more in the direction of Wolfwood than Vash. But let's not forget that Vash and Wolfwood were at their best when they were teamed up, working together. My belief is that love and peace must be fought for and defended. They're not given freely. They must be fought for and defended. Chef's kiss on my use of this. archetypal description. We can call that an archetype, right? The funny thing about this assessment here is, if you're one of my regulars, you already know this about me, but I'm one of those ornery, rowdy, rough and tumble FPS gamers. So you wouldn't think I'd be even the least bit interested in Toby Fox's mythos. But if that's your assessment, then you're leaning too much into pop culture stereotypes, which I admit I sometimes do. I like to have fun with them, though. I try not to base actual, real psychoanalytic assessments on stereotypes. That way lies perdition. Guide like Rouse, quip like Metaton. Pull a Jevil-style prank. Solid team. Yeah, don't ever let me in the kitchen to actually do any baking. I'm a total disaster. Funny thing is, the vibe you would get from me if you actually watch my gameplay videos, especially the ones with commentary, is the exact opposite of this. You'd pick up on my extroverted energy, Undyne and Susie energy. And by the way, even if you're an introvert, you'll have an extroverted side to you, or vice versa, I think is the classical Latin pronunciation. Normal people would say vice versa. But I'm not normal people, I'm ISTJ. Again, I can use that as an excuse for anything. This is accurately phrased because, yes, Undyne very much does have a geek side. I didn't even mention Birdley. Grok conducting their own analysis. That's awesome. Lawful good is lawful great for the people, not the state.